Don't you just love attention whores? Don't you just love people who just seek attention no matter what? That's sarcasm, by the way. I'd much be working on an animation I've been working on. If you want to catch up, you can go watch the other videos I've done on Slumber, or Sparrow as she calls herself now, and that will fill you in. So why are we talking about Sparrow again? Because she's been hounding me on our community tab instead of moving on from a 2-year-old drama. In order to understand this situation, you must talk about the community posts leading up to this event. Now, if you've seen the call with Sparrow, you'll know that me and the observatory were trying to get through to her in regards to getting evidence that supposedly proved Ephraim was innocent as she claimed. She never provided said proof and instead bailed as soon as she saw an out, taking advantage of the fact that I had limited time to talk to her. You'll also remember she was very rude to us, talking out of turn to the point where I had to mute her, pulling the minor card, and faking her sister coming into the room as a means to bail out for a short period of time. Not to mention how it took an hour for her to actually get in the call as she was stalling and claimed that her dog was just taking too long to poop. Just keep this in mind, as this is one of the main reasons she's continuing this. Anyways, the recent stuff started from here. Finding out both times I've been in the SEC I was getting preyed on. Haha, I wish I was making this up. Now, seeing this, and knowing what Ephraim was accused of, and knowing what Lio Convoy adjacent people were also up to, I figured what happened was obvious. Now, we all know that allowing predatory people into a community can be a beacon for other predators to thrive because they feel safe there. Knowing this, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. So I replied, you know you probably could have avoided this fate if you had just told me and the rest of the observatory the people Ephraim was being sus with. I'm sorry this happened to you, but this is a cut and dry case of the consequences of my own actions. Blunt, sure, but I don't really care. So of course, Sparrow responds. Because a hobo was trying to use me being preyed on as some means of attempting some sort of revenge thing, I want to clarify that the person who preyed on me was not, in fact, Ephraim thumbs up emoji. Don't tell people them being preyed on is the consequences of their own actions, you soul school. So I responded. 1, I'm not a hobo, and even if I was, didn't your mother teach you not to make fun of homeless people? 2, I didn't say you were being preyed on by Ephraim. I was just saying that reporting his victims would save a lot more people as creeps tend to enable each other. 3, maybe don't anhero bait your audience on your community tab. We don't need another Septipause. Yes, she was in fact anhero baiting on her community tab. I pointed this out because if you're gonna use one of my lowest points against me, I'm gonna use one of your lowest points against you. I mean, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't the playing field be equal? Then, a literal month later, she tags me in a post. Hey, Carmen Ryder, can you explain to me how someone is dishonest yet also this stupid? Try asking your mother. I'm sure she knows all about that. I'm trying to figure out, but I just can't, frowny face. Like you couldn't even delete the proof of you actively implying that Ephraim was the one who preyed on me. Their proof is a comment that I replied to where I jokingly referred to Sparrow's defense as Stockholm Syndrome. Nevertheless, I replied. I still didn't say Ephraim preyed on you. I implied that you, defending Ephraim so hard, might have made you look available to another predator. The fact that you're still harping on what I said many days later proves how attention-starved you are. Please take your meds and touch grass. Touch grass! You're chronically online. And it's me replying to you being dishonest about me and my grooming story after victim-blaming me after I started coming out about my grooming story, which took place over the course of a year and left me very traumatized and emotionally vulnerable. Which, mind you, is something you said victims should never keep quiet about. You don't actually care about grooming victims, you only care about being on some moral high ground. That's why your morals are entirely conditional. You're disgusting, and I would genuinely be ashamed to be anything like you. Wow, that's a lot of words that mean fuck all to me. Also, when did I lie? When was I dishonest? You can't just call someone a liar and not explain how. Again, I replied. You made it dishonest by having Ephraim cover it so it would get the heat off of him. I never victim-blamed you. I'm sorry that you were groomed. You don't deserve that, but I'm not gonna back off from you if you literally keep tagging me in posts directed at me. I'm glad what I said still triggers you a month later. You're chronically online. Touch grass. Yeah, she actually had Efron cover her grooming story. I've totally not seen other predatory people do that. Nuh-uh, no siree Bob, that's not it. Oh, Natty Forsyth, who's that? Anyways, Sparrow continues. Anyways, I stay on top of you unknown uggos. Pinching emoji, pinching emoji, pinching emoji. Kamen Rider, you tried, you failed, and I will continue to stay goated. Try it with someone else, cause you're sure as hell not getting a leg up over me anytime soon, you pale-skinned Neanderthal. I don't know what you meant by that last part. I'm Latina. I don't know if she was trying to be racist or rude, but I think it's the former for reasons that we'll get into later. Something my turn. 1. No it isn't. 2. Yes you did and you can't convince me otherwise. 3. I seem to live rent-free in your head a lot, yet you have no intention on actually confronting me, as any time I talk about you, you fold, delete, and run. Post-editing Carmen here to tell you something that happened while I was working on the script for this video. Now, like usual, as we'll elaborate on later in this video, Sparrow has been harassing Asher again. Interestingly, however, Sparrow, despite being so against him while he was on our side, has suddenly made up with Kirito when he started going against me and Asher. Now, why is Kirito going against me and Asher after seemingly making up with us after we realized he might have been manipulated by Septi? That's a long story that a certain killer clown from outer space will be covering at some point in the future. However, most of that info isn't needed for this part, as I'm sure you can imagine that now Asher is being targeted even more by people in Sparrow's circle. My point about Sparrow was because of how I believe that she is a crybully. She insults people, and when she gets shit thrown back at her, she cries about how she's only a minor, and how people are stalking/bullying a minor, or whatever. Well, here's another case of her doing that. During Sparrow harassing Asher again, Asher made a community post saying the following. I want to remind people. My channel is 18 plus, meaning I don't want anyone underage following me or interacting with the content I post that isn't made for them. I hate children, always have, always will. Unless they are my family or they are friends of one of my friends. So if you are underage, you aren't welcome here. I'm not a family-friendly channel. And then Sparrow flagged down that community post for hate speech. Yep, saying I don't want minors watching my content is hate speech now, apparently. Because we all know that when the strip club rejects you from coming in, they're not doing so to prevent you from seeing something adult, they're promoting hate speech. If that isn't further proof that Sparrow is a crybully, I don't know what is. As for her making up with Kirito, that's kind of ironic, as one of her main reasons for hating me is because I gave Kirito a second chance because I thought he was being manipulated by Septipaws. I even gave Kirito a platform to defend himself in Your Business is My Business, but apparently that doesn't matter, and as a result, Sparrow tries to bring him in as a friend. Four, I'm not deleting my channel because unlike you, people actually care about me. The only people who care about you are people more concerned with Kamen Rider Bad than you. Take meds. Anyways, after that, there's these posts which you can read yourself where I tell her to make a video. Mainly, I wanted her to properly confront and address anything she hasn't confronted. The call, and the most recent video on her at the time. Now, the observatory call is over 2 hours long, and the video on her is over an hour long. Knowing how this is a commentary, the video response she's gonna give is gonna be about 4 hours and 30 minutes long, I'd say. So how long is her video actually? 28 minutes. So how does one compress all that content into such a short video? Oh, it's simple. You don't. Instead of doing what I asked, she instead responded with a video where she picks and chooses her arguments from these videos, instead of addressing them fully, therefore leaving out details, and even brings up points that were countered in said videos. The video is titled, Clocking Your Tea, Kamen Rider. Is this the new Skibbity Ohio Sigma Rizzler brain rot babble cockney slang all the kids are saying now? Is that one of those words?
I just saw you.
Mom, it's for a video.
I saw you.
It's for a video.
I saw you.
It's for a video.
I saw you.
Mom,
You
it's
just
for...
flicked me
No,
off.
I
What the
didn't.
hell was that
I didn't
for?
mean
I don't
it.
understand.
I didn't mean it.
That is very disrespectful.
I
Get
didn't
over
mean
here.
it. It
I
was an
swear to
accident.
God, get over here.
It was an
Get
accident.
over
No,
here.
Mom.
Get over here. Get over here.
Anyways, let's get into it.
Before anyone says anything about the subject of this video, I was asked to make this, so I don't want to hear any backtalk.
Yeah, guys, no bully, no criticism.
Honestly, I don't know how to structure this. You could say I could start off with an introduction of the individual I'm talking about, but I've already done that twice, given that there are 2 videos I've already done talking about this person. Although you would have an equally valid point in pointing out that they're both unlisted and I'm not particularly proud of them.
If you're not proud of them, then why are you continuing this?
Hopefully this can be my last time talking about this fucking bitch.
Remember that statement for later.
If you've heard me say anything about this individual, you'll know that she's been pretty relevant to dramas I've been talking about recently that I was dealing with in September and early 2024.
As in a fucking year ago.
But in case you're not aware, today I'm gonna be talking about a lady named Carmen Ryder. Now make no fucking mistake, you don't have to watch jack or shit before this video to understand what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, guys, we wouldn't want you to see any opposing viewpoints now, would we?
I'm gonna break it all down, and I'm gonna break down exactly what the fuck she did to me, the fuck ass shit she was saying about my grooming story, and we're gonna explore the concept of victim blaming together.
I guess saying I'm sorry that happened to you is victim blaming now.
Okay? Okay. That's all you need to know going into this. Now, I need to give some context before we actually get into the victim blaming because, you know, there is a lot of context, so strap in for a minute. Essentially, this all starts with the situation that these motherfuckers have talked to death.
Oh, these motherfuckers. I love how you can hear how angry she is in her voice. Also, if you say stupid shit, not to mention tag me, yeah, I'm going to criticize you. This is also gonna get quite hilarious in a moment.
Where there is a situation where an individual named the Affromentator was being called out for making another individual by the name of Fractured Light uncomfortable. That situation will be relevant later, so hold your horses because Carmen Ryder literally victim blamed me over that situation, and we'll get into that in a minute. But for right now, I need you to understand that context because there are 3 videos on her channel all about me that revolve around this situation.
Yeah, because you kept doing stupid shit.
I'm gonna start off with her latest video, and then we'll go from there. We're gonna start off there because I want to illustrate how dishonest she is in her argumentation in order for everyone to sort of understand the place that I'm coming from and what I'm even talking about in the first place when I say that she's dishonest, because I feel as though it in and of itself is dishonest to call somebody dishonest and not have any examples. Don't worry though, I have many to back up my point. Let's get into it. First of all, I'm gonna play this clip because it is so fucking comically stupid that you're gonna laugh with me.
None of this already, because I've been DMing you. Oh, you don't know? Venus, aka Slumber, reached out to me after I received these screenshots to check on me due to the thing with Septiposs threatening to sue me, temporarily tanking my mental health.
Ooh, look mommy, I'm famous. Nah, but for real though, fucking where? Because looking at the actual DM conversations we had, I wouldn't have known this because you didn't tell me any of this.
Because the comment you left was under something related to the immigrant saga, so she assumed you were already filled in on everything.
This is a fantastic example of how Carmen constantly backpedals in order to suit her own narrative.
How is that backpedaling? I literally said, I thought you knew about this situation ahead of time.
She says that she knows I know some of this specifically because she's been talking to me, which can imply one of 2 things. Either A, she learned of my knowledge through talking to me and finding that out from me, or B, she informed me herself through our DMs, and though that's how she would know that I knew. And now she's flipped around and said that she assumed that I was filled in, even though there wouldn't have to be an assumption if she knew through DMing me, you stupid motherfucker.
No, it's because you left a comment under a community post talking about the immigrant saga before I DM'd you.
That's one example. Let's get into another one.
It doesn't matter since I was bringing it up because Ephraim was allegedly doing sussy things to minors.
Fucking no, he wasn't.
Then prove it.
You heard it there, folks. Carmen is demanding proof of an accusation that she has zero evidence for beyond hearsay from people who have already retracted their testimonies.
I'm asking for proof of the allegations made. If Ephraim is innocent, prove it, and then this will be all over.
Let's get into the third instance.
I literally had no idea who you were until now.
Carmen just casually admitting she can't be fucked to do her own research on topics she tries to cover to get the actual facts of the situation.
When she tried to do that, you kept stalling and bailed out on her.
Mind you, she literally told me to leave if I wasn't going to give her something that I already told her I wasn't going to give her.
You took advantage of the fact that I had limited time to speak with you, and attempted to stall the entire time, waiting for an out. You knew I didn't have all the time in the world. You knew I couldn't keep you for long. So you put all of us through a wild goose chase for long enough to where I was forced to kick you out. Don't play stupid. You knew exactly what you were doing.
On the topic of her being dishonest about that call, actually,
How was I dishonest? I literally posted the entire call to my channel. It's up there, in full. You can go watch it right now. How am I going to be dishonest over a call I recorded in its entirety?
we have this other really funny clip.
Not only that, but Impress has shown zero evidence for the claim of Ephraim being sexual with other minors.
In the call with you, you literally told us you had a list of those minors on hand and that you didn't want to give to us. You kept on refusing and nothing came of that call as you so quickly bailed.
Which, mind you, I didn't bail, as I've already established. I did what she told me to. But second of all, in my opinion, I think it's pretty obvious that I literally didn't.
Then why did you probably would have confronted you about it, but as of right now, I don't give a shit. But,
Alright.
I don't have... Oh, well, there's one thing I want to ask of you, but you can do this on your way out, is that I want a list of the people who were victims of Ephraim, and I want to know how old each of them were. That is one thing I want from this. That is one thing I have wanted from the very beginning when talking about Ephraim, is that I want a list of the people he was flirting or sexually harassing, and a list and their ages corresponding to those names. It doesn't have to be everyone. I know you're probably not going to have every single person, but I want, like, a list of the ones you know. And not their age currently, their age when it happened. That's what I've been wanting, because that would be that would define whether Ephraim is a nonce or not. That is what I was asking. I wanted to know who specifically the victims were, and how old they were. Whether it be... That's the thing I wanted. It doesn't have to be a long, comprehensive list, just the ones you remember.
Like, right now?
If you could do it, like, after this call on your way out, or you could DM me or something, I don't know. You don't have to do it, like, right now, but we're gonna need that list eventually. After this call.
I am gonna be so utterly for real right now. I'm gonna have to scroll back a lot because I wasn't there, and I'm gonna have to like talk to the people involved because, like, because like I'm not. I don't know. I don't think, to my knowledge, it was just the stuff with like Light and Umbrus.
Was that supposed to prove you didn't know? If anything, that proves that you knew and you were being lazy.
Literally me stating right here that I do not have that, and I'm going to have to scroll back and talk to the people involved to get a clearer picture of what the fuck was going on.
So, you know who you need to contact in regards to who was involved, but you don't know who was involved? What are you even trying to say?
Like, no, I don't think this was okay, because I was literally sitting here prying into a situation, like, to figure out information that I didn't have because I wasn't there and wasn't involved. So why the fuck was it my business?
You're the one who DM'd me defending him before the call happened.
Also, if you saw me toggling my volume, it's because this bitch doesn't shut up and I was getting impatient.
Oh, sure, you were getting impatient. Yeah, you were.
I don't know, I'm just saying, maybe part of the reason this call wasn't as productive as you wanted it to be or whatever is because you continue droning on and on about the same 5 things for 2 hours.
Because you were stalling. I've told you this ad nauseum. I'm not gonna tell you again. I've told you enough already.
Mind you, this is coming from the same bitch who decided to bring up every single past edit in a script when I changed something from a script to a video.
Yeah, I compared the script of a video and your main video to see what you actually meant as opposed to what you said.
To point out small changes that literally do not fucking matter. But when I don't address this one specific thing she wants to address, that being the call between us, suddenly that's me just pretending it never happened.
Because you were.
While also acknowledging that I literally posted about the fact that later on, I was planning on talking about it.
And you never did. Now, we will be covering this video as usual, but with a twist. Now, you may remember I was citing an original script of this video in the call with her. Well, as we cover this video, we're going to be looking at the original script. So, we'll look at what she says in the video, and then we'll take a look at the script to see what she actually said. Also, in the script you said, because you sped up the context quite a bit, as well as some points, so it was hard for me to understand. Which completely contradicts what you said about me not having context. Freudian slip? Possibly. Let's hope this is the only time we have to cite Slumber's script in cross-reference to her video.
2 different things. And even if you were hypothetically correct about him saying something ironically,
In the script, the word right is used in place of hypothetically correct. Almost as if Slumber can't even give me a win in a non-existent example scenario because Carmen Wright are bad.
Also, I want to point out this one real quick. We'll continue the examples in a moment, but I just want to point out this clip.
If Ephraim's really a predator like you allege, it shouldn't be a surprise to you that he's not terminated.
So you admit Ephraim is a predator?
Like, if I just say, if you're right, then X, then you assume I'm saying you're right when I'm not, you dumb, stupid bitch.
What you said sounded like a Freudian slip. I was pointing that out.
You don't get to be all, wah, let me have a win.
I'm not saying that I'm desperate for a win. I'm saying that you hate me so much that even in a made-up scenario, you can't fathom that I'm correct about something.
Moving on, since I'm getting bored of that point, I want to bring up this other thing that she said. The context will all be in the clip, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna play it, and then I'm gonna explain how fucking stupid it is.
I thought the reason people thought I called Seppi a communist and a Nazi was because you told multiple people that I called Seppi a communist and a Nazi.
Communist, yes, but Nazi, no.
Well, that's utter bullshit. In Carmen's call in Senate, she was specifically asked by Lyo about the claim that Seppi is a communist and a Nazi, and she said both of those claims originated from me. She did not make the distinction she's making now.
Constant grief, you're gonna have to elaborate.
Alright, something about calling them a Nazi or a communist or airing their personal business in a public server.
The Nazi-communist stuff came from Ephraim, first off.
Ephraim Josine.
One, I was responding to the moment Lyle mentioned communism. 2, you do realize he put me in a socially tense situation, having his group gang up on me in a call, right? Of course I'm not gonna give a straight answer when I'm ganged up by multiple people like that.
okay, we're gonna break this down point by point. So let's start with your first argument.
1, I was responding to the moment Lyo mentioned communism.
So why exactly did you lump the claim of Nazism in on top of that?
I didn't.
You literally did.
No, I didn't.
But moving on.
Also, why are we citing Lyo Convoy as a source? I thought we all agreed he was a bastard who allowed the FCK stuff to happen, and that he intentionally triggered Rose's flight or fight response via her disability, and called a kid's school over petty internet shit to get him kicked out. Why are we defending Lyo Convoy at all?
First of all, A, nowhere in that introduction am I defending 𝕨𝕖 in the slightest. Second of all, B, nowhere in that introduction am I citing 𝕨𝕖 Convoy for anything.
Sure, you weren't, but Ephraim was, and you were backing up his statements.
There is something deeply comical about this clip, but I don't even have the energy to laugh right now. I'm just irritated.
I'm glad you're offended.
Moving on, we also have this lovely clip.
You know damn well that as the presenter, it is your job to prove your claims.
We already have shown the accusations made. It's your turn now.
Carmen seems to hold this idea that just accusing somebody of something is proof enough.
I didn't make the accusations. Guru and Umbrus did. And yes, I know Guru made a video of his own about that, but we'll cover that another time.
Saying that he's not going to bother arguing over whether he's changed or grown as a person since the situation, because you won't believe that from any party.
How do you know that?
Gee, I don't fucking know, Carmen. Maybe it's you literally suggesting that he is never going to change, literally ever.
Even if Ephraim promised to never do it again, people like these don't just stop being creeps. People who commit sex crimes will only continue to do more sex crimes. Now, yes, I know Ephraim isn't a nonce, but he is someone who committed a sex crime. Yes, sexual harassment is a sex crime, meaning he is gonna do it again. Maybe not under his Ephraim name, maybe under a different name. Who knows?
To pretend I had no reason to think this is just flatly dishonest, and
those two clips are posing two different scenarios. One is under the impression that he's innocent, the second is under the impression that he's guilty.
I'm probably not gonna talk more about those two videos because that's not what this video is about.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to talk about all the problems from your side, now would you?
And see, I have been in drama with Carmen Ryder for, I think, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, you've been continuing this situation for 2 years. Like, does Ephraim himself even care anymore?
Which is really sad and kind of pathetic on her part. How are you 30 years old and still beefing with somebody from 16 to 18?
I'm not 30. Where did you get the idea that I'm 30? More importantly, where did you get the idea that minors can't be criticized or held responsible for their actions?
So the first post from me reads, finding out both times I've been in the SCC, I was getting preyed on. LMFAO, I wish I was making this up. Admittedly, a bit of an overshare, but yeah, no, I was getting preyed on when I was in the SCC from 13 to very, very early 14 years old. So that's what the first time was, and then both times is from 16 to early 17. This was a post that had fucking nothing to do with Carmen, by the way. I hadn't said anything to her, or about her, in literal months.
I mean, you were harassing my friend Asher, so of course I was keeping an eye on you. On the subject of the harassment campaign against Asher, let's talk about Kirito for a bit to know the exact kind of person Sparrow knowingly brought on to help them. However, to do that, we must talk about another situation. Now, we all know about the thing with Tommy, as I mentioned on the community tab. If you don't know, pause and read. The reason I haven't talked about it that much is because of the investigation going on. Basically, I wanted to avoid the EDP 445 thing from happening, hence why I'm only mentioning it in a video now. I wouldn't legally be able to talk about such incidents in detail without using the YouTuberism of saying allegedly when it's not actually alleged. Sure, it's legally alleged, but it's definitely not actually alleged because he fucking admitted to it. Though real quick, I want to remind people to block Tommy if he tries to reach out to you. He's been going out of his way to contact friends of mine to give him a second chance or whatever. Just be careful. However, you may be asking what this has to do with Kirito. Well, in the comments of that status, Nil chimed in about something. Found unsettling news about amigo/Jag in that they've been sexually role-playing about diaper kinks with scamos when they were as young as 16, and knew from February that they were 17. So they knew they were a minor for the last 2 months before scamos hit 18. Yeah, just a Gardevoir, someone I disconnected with for reasons that weren't this before this came out. He would @ everyone in his Discord server every time he got upset about something, and usually it was something stupid. You know that one meme made by Snarkfield called Jag Minecraft Story? That was based on one of those situations. Yes, this happened every other time. In fact, those screenshots in the video came from me. I think Jag banned me for one of his outbursts or whatever. As for this claim, I'd never heard of it until now. And thank God I did hear it now. Now you may say, but Carmen Ryder, this is alleged. Which is true. However, there's reason to believe that Jag is guilty based on his behaviors relating to the accusations. In the video by Snarkfield, Nil talks about Jag. Nil states that Jag has a habit of not asking ages before ERPing. This would just be reckless normally, but even after an incident where he unintentionally, quote-unquote, ERP'd with a minor, he kept not asking for ages. Meaning that despite being caught, he kept doing the thing that got him into a presumably accidental scenario. Basically a James Charles-style plausible deniability scenario. But that's not the only sign of foul play, as more would be exposed in the same video. The part where it involves Kirito is that Nil told Kirito about Jag's behavior, since Kirito is Jag's partner and he deserves the right to know. However, I would receive a screenshot of a community post of Jag where he says that Kirito was still his boyfriend. Ironically enough, in a post where Kirito does the usual Carmen Ryder bad thing, the screenshot says 3 days ago, but this post was sent to me May 25th, 2025. The comment from Nil warning me about Jag/Amico was made on the 5th of May. The video by Snark was posted on the 27th of May. Given how Nil was talking about past events, this means that Kirito knew about what happened with Jag and his questionable behavior and chose to still be with him. Still think Jag is innocent? Well, Jag also deleted the channel the ERPs happened in, as he admitted to when Jag yelled at Nil in a comment on a community post, as shown in Snark's video, saying he got scared of Nil joining. Why would you be afraid if you did nothing wrong? Why would the former predator hunter scare you if you were innocent? Of course, the victim, not knowing they're a victim yet, does the fractured light thing and joins the argument with Jag. This was someone Kirito knew was a problem, but didn't get rid of. Keep in mind, Sparrow advertises herself as a minor a bunch. It's her go-to excuse and the go-to excuse of her friends who defend her. It would be harder to not know that Sparrow is a minor. Now, of course, Kirito would claim he never knew about the stuff with Jag until now, but the proof is in the pudding and the lies are in the toilet. However, that's not the only thing Kirito has done. Now, like with most smear campaigns, like the Immigrant Saga and the recent Kirsha situation, when people can't get under your skin and deplatform you, they harass those around you. Your friends, your sponsors, your employers, your family, and everyone else. And Kirito was no exception, as he had gotten Asher's fan, Angel Illager987MC, to say some pretty nasty stuff to him and his friend Shiny. However, in a surprising turn of events, Angel actually broke free from Kirito and apologized. Now, whether you believe it or not is not up to me. However, Angel came out to say that she was scared because Kirito was stalking and harassing her. So not only has Kirito let a potential predator to continue on in his life, but he stalked, harassed, and pressured a minor to do things she wouldn't otherwise want to do. Oh, and also when Nil went to ask about the stuff with Jag in DMs, Kirito blocked him. Yeah. How telling. Not to mention Shiny straight up called Kirito a pedo. Now, am I saying Kirito is a pedophile? No. I don't have any reason to, and I'm not going to make an accusation like that unless there's evidence of him doing something that would warrant me calling him that. But you see how this looks, right? This is Kirito both siding with the groomer, playing ignorance to their crimes, and then pressuring a minor into doing something she wouldn't otherwise do. Now, Kirito has been trying to be an auntie towards me on his community tab, the usual thing, which is weird because Well, he calls himself Kirito. And we all know that Sword Art Online is an anime with no lewd content of its teenage characters at all, right? Come on, you don't need me to tell you that's not true. You know, I actually plan on rewatching that series for a while now, and to save myself the awkwardness, I'm just gonna call him Nick now. Either way, you can't get on my case about Lolicon, but then like an anime made to appeal to that demographic. One more thing. Now, this is the only time I'm going to show you something from here, as it kind of ties into the fact that Nick might not actually care about Sparrow despite teaming up with them. Why such a harsh accusation? Remember how I said that Sparrow threatened Anhero over Evil Orange Man? You know, obvious Anhero baiting. Well, here's a DM from him that says that he also believes it's Anhero baiting. Now, I know some people are going to have a problem with me sharing DMs. However, I'm only sharing this one as I want to point out how Nick is not being honest with one of us. Knowing how he treated Angel and got them to do something bad, perhaps he's doing the same with Sparrow, or wants to do the same thing with Sparrow. Who knows? Either way, I know my shit in regards to him. He can't lie to me. Anyways, back to the video.
For now, though, I'm gonna get into Carmen's first post in response to me, which reads, "You know, you probably could have avoided this fate if you had just told me and the rest of the observatory the people Ephron was being sus with. I'm sorry this happened to you, but this is a cut and dry case of the consequences of my own actions." I'm gonna really hone in on the phrase, the consequences of my own actions, because it literally suggests I have some sort of blame or responsibility for getting groomed.
I didn't say that. I was pointing out this behavior likely wouldn't have been accepted in your community had the SCC actually done their due diligence and look into claims like this for once.
Carmen Ryder will try to say it's not victim blaming.
Because it's not.
Moving on though, I later posted this. Because a hobo is trying to use me being preyed on as a means of attempting some sort of revenge thing, I want to clarify the person who preyed on me was not, in fact, Ephron. Don't tell people them being preyed on is the consequences of their actions, you soulless ghoul. And she replied to this post, and it's honestly gotta be one of the worst replies I've ever seen her give to literally anything. 1. I'm not a hobo, and even if I was, didn't your mother teach you not to make fun of homeless people? Mind you, this is a lecture about class consciousness coming from somebody who advocates saying the N-word and calls me a quote, Jew nose.
I don't advocate the N-word. What Sparrow is referring to is the fact that I believe that intent matters, not words. If someone just says the N-word just by itself to no one in particular, that's not racism. At most, it's inappropriate. If someone insults someone with the N-word with the intention of targeting their race, then that is racism. I'm not an advocate for the N-word. I just believe intent matters. And I only insulted you because you insulted me. This is the thing with Sparrow. They'll throw all the mud, shit, and piss they want at people they don't like, but the moment you throw it back at them, they cry, they delete everything, they play the victim, and they change their name and pronouns. There's a reason they're Sparrow, they, them now. That's how we ended up here in the first place.
Literally go in the videos in the description and look for yourself. You will find many instances of this happening. And this is also coming from somebody who uses immigrant as a term of insult.
I already explained this in the video you're covering. Your business is my business. Stop lying.
3. Maybe don't suicide bait your audience on your community tab. We don't need another septipause. First of all, it's not baiting if I'm actually considering going through with it, you dumb motherfucker.
We aren't falling for that again. How many times have people Anhero baited when things didn't go their way in the CC now?
Second of all, I would like to point out, this is coming from somebody who expressed that they had tanked mental health after Septipause was threatening to sue them.
Yeah, an actual problem that isn't about some politician that doesn't affect me. Yes, Sparrow wanted to Anhero over Evil Orange Man. That's it. I guess waiting 4 years is too hard, huh? Maybe your site should have shown more pictures of crying moms on the device that makes teenagers want to get pregnant.
It is that device that makes teenagers want to get pregnant.
It has a second purpose.
Oh, is that a crying mom? This message was sponsored by the Democratic Party. Give me a ballot now!
Like, this is seriously coming from people who, by this logic, are friends with suicide baiters. Like, Asher literally deleted their account because Two Black's Too Strong started tearing them the fuck up.
Yeah, he was harassing him and lying about him and his friends, and so were you.
And I was there, and I clocked their ass, and they were mad about it. They deleted it because they were too busy falling to a 17-year-old.
You mean he was rightfully upset when you were trying to harass him? Hey, something I wanted to point out about Two Black that wasn't mentioned before. Lately, his newest stunt for harassing Asher has been making old accounts to circumvent blocking, as seen here in this comment on a community post where Two Black says, "freckles" with a heart eyes emoji. According to Asher, this is the third time he had to block an account from Two Black, meaning that Two Black is going out of his way to sexually harass Asher on his community tab. And while not screenshotted, according to Asher, Two Black had commented a heart eyes emoji and given the words, "ooh," under a post where Asher made his MMD model into a drag queen. Given how Asher has been blocking these accounts and that Sparrow has confirmed that Two Black did in fact harass him, needless to say, this affection isn't genuine and isn't wanted. It's the same kind of behavior that caused YouTube to disable comments on all videos featuring kids, because creepy people would go into the comments and write weird simp comments and fantasies about the people in those videos. Now you may think, oh well, those are just hard eyes, it's not really sexual harassment. Well, Two Black would make a fourth alt and comment again on Asher's art, commenting the same thing, but this time with a gasp emoji, heart eyes, and the drips emoji. I don't need to tell you what that means, as I'm sure we all know what he meant by that. So if there's any doubt this wasn't sexual, there's the proof. Sparrow, this is what I meant when I said what happened to you was the consequences of your own actions. I'm sorry you got groomed. You didn't deserve that. But between this with Two Black, you hanging around Nick during his defense of a groomer, Nick pressuring a minor to find a battle for you, the shit with Ephraim, and you being associated with Senate people when Lyle Convoy also has his problem, this is why this shit keeps happening. And I know that you know this is happening because you have allowed Asher to stay rent-free in your head and have harassed him on community posts when he hasn't even mentioned you. You go out of your way to reach out to people who hate me to recruit them to your little clique so you can suck each other off on how much you don't like me. There is no way you didn't know about this. What happened to you was horrible, and the people who did that to you are terrible. But this shows that stranger danger and internet safety are not optional. When people get caught doing that shit in my community, I kick them out. I get rid of them, and I tell everyone why I got rid of them. It's what I did with Tommy, CG, and Akri. You, on the other hand, only do so when it's someone you don't like. You have defended Ephraim tooth and nail despite all signs pointing to him being a creep, yet somehow you ignore people in your circle being creepy, meaning that predators will see incidents like this, and all they'll need to do is stay on your good side, and that will allow them to do whatever they want, because you'll come to the rescue because you've effectively created a safe space for them. Just as long as they say Kamen Rider bad every once in a while, they can get away with whatever they want in your community. Congratulations! You've officially made the world a less safe place for young people. I hope you're proud of yourself. And you probably are, because it means these creeps are gonna start giving you that sweet, sweet attention and dopamine you craved because your mother doesn't love you enough. You're essentially the new Ellie Godilia. Also, Asher is revoking his apology to you. Back to the video.
And you know, Carmen was also folding to people on the internet, apparently threatening to sue them.
When did I threaten to sue anyone? Like, at all?
Getting back to the posts before I actually start getting legitimately irritated by this, Essentially, I clocked this, and then Carmen Ryder immediately starts getting dishonest about it, which is like so embarrassing because those words never even crossed her lips to begin with. So I'm not sure why she's trying to act like that was what she was trying to say when it blatantly wasn't. Anyways, I clock her on this, and then I also clock her on—
I swear, if you keep saying clock, I'm just gonna play hentai moan over it when your eventual response comes out. If I have to have piercing battle damage over Gen Alpha, Ohio Skibbity Backrooms, Diddy, Rizzler, Cockney slang, then you also have to be subjected to noises you probably hate. So remember that part where they say that they don't want to talk about me anymore and didn't want to deal with it? Well, they released a soft trailer for a video they were intending on making. The video is a few seconds long and is only going over some comment thread or whatever, so I'm not gonna bother. But I guess they didn't mean the whole I don't want to talk about Carmen Ryder thing. I mean, why would they? Them and their little clique of theirs, Fractured Light, Max, Sleepy Rara, and even Cupid/Skull Crusher, are all just gonna endlessly give them the attention and praise they don't deserve because, as stated, they're an attention whore. Yeah, Sparrow has gone out of their way to track down people who aren't even involved with the Efron situation to help them out, supposedly. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you ever run into the same groups of people. Anyways, gamers, have a good night.
You will save us all we know.
You've gone and ruined my production. Now I'll show you true destruction. Behold the power of my rubber bands. Let's see.